Premier League fights. The 10 biggest rivalries in Premiership history. The Premier League has elevated football to new heights, with larger audiences, skyrocketing salaries, and a higher quality of play. However, the immense pressure and human nature's tendency to dislike certain individuals have resulted in several feuds since the league's inception 19 years ago. Some of these rivalries date back to before the Premier League, some have intensified over time, and some have been burned during the league's existence. Here are 10 of the most significant Premier League fights, and of course the best one is the last. Bendtner and Adebayor. The fights between Bendtner and Adebayor began with a seemingly trivial issue of footwear. During their time at Arsenal, it was prohibited to wear trainers in the dressing room, but Nicklas Bendtner flouted this rule repeatedly. Emmanuel Adebayor took offense to this and confronted Bendtner, but he refused to comply. In a League Cup match, Bendtner gave Adebayor the finger, and in response, Adebayor head-butted his teammate. This led to a long-standing feud between the two strikers. Oh, these two hotheads. Joey Barton versus Cole Henry. Joey Barton's tendency to clash with others has been evident throughout his career, with Cole Henry being his latest sparring partner. In a game against Newcastle last season, Barton felt that Henry was out to hurt him, and in a match between Wolves and QPR, Henry put in a nasty tackle on Barton. The midfielder took to Twitter to describe Henry as a Sunday League footballer, showcasing his disdain for his opponent. Although Barton has had his fair share of troubles, including a stint in jail for assault, he has since turned a corner, sharing his philosophical views with fans. If he can channel his passion effectively, Barton could reach new heights in his career. However, if he can't, Cole Henry could be in real trouble. Kieron Dyer versus Bowyer. During a Premier League match against Aston Villa, Kieron Dyer and Bowyer got into a physical altercation after their team went 30 down. It is not uncommon for players to get angry in such situations, but it is rare for teammates to come to blows on the pitch. Bowyer appeared to be the aggressor and was fined £200,000, banned for 4 matches, and forced to apologise, along with Dyer, who received a 3-match ban. Despite the incident, the pair have since reconciled, and Bowyer even helped persuade Dyer to leave Newcastle and join West Ham. However, fighting on live television in front of millions of viewers is sure to lead to some awkward moments in the dressing room. Andy Cole versus Teddy Sheringham. Teddy Sheringham snubbed Andy Cole when he was substituted in favour of the latter during an England match, Cole's debut, and matters only got worse when the pair later joined forces at Manchester United. Sheringham accused Cole of being responsible for a goal that United conceded, which could not have gone down well with Cole. Last year, Andy Cole stated in his column in The Independent that he has never spoken a word to Sheringham, a fact that makes the animosity between the two of them all the more impressive. Somehow, despite all of this, they managed to form a very successful partnership, although the introduction of Dwight Yorke for the 1998-1999 season suggested that their personal problems were still a problem for Sir Alex Ferguson. Kevin Keegan versus Sir Alex Ferguson. In the 1995-96 Premier League season, Kevin Keegan and Sir Alex Ferguson were pitted against each other in a battle for the league title. Throughout the season, Ferguson had been getting under people's skin, and he finally succeeded in rattling Keegan. During an interview with Sky Sports, Keegan exploded in a now famous rant. It's impossible to know if Keegan's outburst was the difference between the two teams, but what we do know is that he left Newcastle within a year, and he hasn't enjoyed the same level of managerial success since then. Manchester City versus Manchester United. The rivalry between Manchester United and Manchester City is on the rise. There was a time when the city's residents would watch one team one week and the other team the next. However, now it is more common for both clubs to take jabs at each other. City has been referred to as the noisy neighbours, and there is now a firm rivalry between them, both on and off the pitch. The tension between the clubs has been amplified in recent years, with controversies such as Owen Hargreaves taking shots at United's medical team, and the intense feelings surrounding Carlos Tevez's move across the city. Despite this, both teams came together to remember the tragedy of the Munich air disaster, which was mourned by both clubs. City showed their respect by laying a wreath at the site of the crash during their visit to Germany, which was praised by all, including the red side of Manchester. Manchester United versus Liverpool. The rivalry between Manchester United and Liverpool is one of football's greatest, with the two clubs having a history of competing for top honours. Even though Liverpool hasn't seen much success in recent years, the rivalry remains intense, and United's surpassing of Liverpool's 18 league titles has caused much celebration among their supporters. During Rafa Benitez's tenure at Liverpool, the rivalry was at its height, with the infamous Rafa Fax rant being a low point. Gabriel Heinze's attempt to transfer to Liverpool from Old Trafford caused controversy, as United refused to let him go. Since 1964, no player has transferred between the two clubs, which is a testament to the depth of feeling involved. Michael Owen playing for United has made him a target of scorn for both sides of the rivalry. Even after he retired, fans continued to boo him when he left the dressing room. The animosity between the clubs is ingrained in fans from an early age, and it will continue to be so even after Sir Alex Ferguson leaves. Roy Keane versus Alfie Holland. In 1997, Roy Keane fouled Alfie Holland, a Leeds player, causing serious damage to his own ligaments. Keane claims that Holland taunted him, telling him not to fake an injury. 4 years later, Keane made a ferocious tackle on Holland that had nothing to do with the ball. In his autobiography, Keane wrote that he had waited long enough, and that he had hit Holland hard, adding, "Take that, you see times. The tackle ended Haaland's career. He never played a full 90 minutes again. Keane has always been known as a tough player, but the fact that he held a grudge over an injury that he caused himself for 4 years is truly remarkable. John Terry versus Wayne Bridge. John Terry's alleged affair with Wayne Bridge's former partner, Vanessa Parental, ignited a feud that is unlikely to ever be resolved. The Chelsea versus Manchester City match that occurred while this was in the headlines was highly anticipated, with millions watching to see if Bridge and Terry would shake hands. However, Terry was left hanging, and Manchester City players wore Team Bridge shirts under their football shirts. Terry lost the England captaincy, and Bridge's career took a significant downturn. This feud was intensely personal, with the three individuals seeing their worst nightmares aired in public. Arsene Wenger versus Sir Alex Ferguson. The two longest-serving Premiership managers are bound to have had their disagreements, especially when, for long periods of the Premier League's history, they have been tussling for the top honours. They didn't get off to the best of starts. Ferguson suggested that Wenger would do better to stick to Japanese football, and it hasn't improved all that much since then. The rivalry that exists between Manchester United and Arsenal is largely based on the rivalry between these two men. Without them, it is doubtful that Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira would have ever had their historic and violent confrontations. In recent times, the feud seems to have calmed down somewhat. Ferguson recently backed Wenger against the myriad of critics who have put him under intense pressure in recent times, which does not stop the odd-snide remark emerging from each side. You can be sure that if Arsenal once again pose a threat as they did earlier in the millennium, Sir Alex and Wenger will be back at each other's throats. Which one is the biggest feud? Is there one we forgot to mention? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe and like for more Premier League content.